Fallout dick out of your mouth for just a minute and give it some honest thoughts. There's got to be things you don't like about it. Go. Visuals and graphics. You know how the point system works.
So, visuals and graphics, the game is not necessarily built to be like a graphical monster. I mean, the game is so big that it would be impossible to have just overall flawless graphics, right? Like, we're not getting like this 60 frame per second, kind of rendering where every pixel is perfect. But what we are getting, and I would say this in visuals, like in terms of the game design, it's gorgeous. There's moments that are like legitimately breathtaking. The opening, I won't spoil it because I've already seen it here where everybody's like, hey, don't spoil anything. The opening itself was like one of the top 5 moments in video games for me already.
Okay, like you're talking opening...
Like the whole opening sequence.
Opening scene.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous. I've had, today for example, there was a really cool empty church that I went into. I went to the top of the church, and in the top of the church you can go up to the bell tower and you just look across, and it was just, I mean, you can see for what's miles, and it's gorgeous.
So it's got a good draw distance.
Oh, it's huge. It's so huge. Sometimes it's actually less due to weather, which is great.
Okay.
Like there's times that there's fog and such, so you can't see as far.
Do you give it a point?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Gameplay and controls. Where are you at there?
So Fallout 3, you could say that the first-person shooter mechanics were not necessarily up to snuff with other first-person shooters. So it felt like more like Skyrim, where everything was like super like, I'm slashing, and it was really clunky. They improved that significantly.
Is there melee?
Huh? Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I spent 2 hours today just as like Jason in the Wastelands. I just had a machete, and I just butchered the whole way through. Oh, it was fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. So the melee is great, and you can do melee weapons, or you can just like bash with your gun as well. Mm-hmm. But it's actually a really solid strategy because it's the Wasteland, so ammo's not easy to come by.
How? What about like the skill tree system and things like that? Is that present in the game, and is
absolutely.
It pick upable?
So it's got the special system. It's called, and special. Each one of those, it's just an acronym for like strength and perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, all of those said things, and underneath each one of those that you assign a point, you can also add a bonus as they get to be higher, so you can add like more to your blacksmith skills so that you can mod your weapons more. So it's super in depth, and also it keeps growing. There's no level cap after you beat the game, so you can come back to it and keep playing it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Points?
Oh, full.
Full point?
Yeah, absolutely.
Full point. Now, this might not apply, but we're at our modes and variety category, so this would be, like modes and variety. So
right.
I'm thinking for an RPG, it's not particularly applicable because you don't have a lot of modes, but we have to score it anyway, either way. So
this is something that they could leave with. They could leave us with nothing, right? They could just leave us with a core game, which will last you 500 hours, and you could just say, "Oh, okay, well, I got enough out of it." But today, I went to a terminal and I found a basically, for those of you who haven't played it, just like a disc kind of thing. You put the disc in the terminal, and there's minigame inside of the terminal, and they have multiple of these. And it was like Missile Command from Atari. I played that for like 20 minutes. It was like, I mean, things they don't have to include, they did.
So so they're mini games per se. Okay, point or half point, no points.
I would probably give it a half point because the game is theoretically it's based around the one core story and exploration.
Now this probably isn't going to apply either. But if you were to point out netcode and online, is that an applicable category for this game?
So the game's totally offline.
Right.
There's no online whatsoever. Like I said, there have been some complaints that maybe like there's some frame rate stutter here and there. And there was also some complaints of some glitches, which I think might be the closest thing that we have to like glitchy netcode, for example, if we're trying to compare apples to apples. I haven't experienced them, so I can't complain. I've seen video of them. I know they exist. I haven't had any frame rate drop or anything whatsoever.
Okay.
And Chase was just saying that he had some frame rate drop as well.
Is Chase playing it? I didn't see that in the chat.
Yeah, he was saying that he had it as well, but I didn't. So.
Okay. Do we give that just a default point or no points?
But we can't hold it against them.
We can't hold it against it, but
because it's
would
not
it add to the
online.
game if there was online components.
I highly doubt it. I mean, if there was a multiplayer on this, it'd probably look pretty ugly. I would imagine.
I would assume.
Yeah.
So we could probably give it a point based on that. Sound design and music. This is probably a very...
Gorgeous.
Really?
So good.
Okay.
The opening music, if you actually... I will probably do it. I haven't done it yet. You can download the entire soundtrack on iTunes. I highly suggest it. I mean, the main theme song is phenomenal. I mean, it's like a legitimately great soundtrack, like you'd expect for a movie or for anything else.
Okay. Point?
Oh, fully, yeah.
When you're said and done, you've played through it, you've put in your 200, 300 hours.
Right.
Will you go back to it? Is there a replay value after you're done?
So my biggest mistake with Fallout 3 was I beat the game. When I beat Fallout 3, I didn't go back into the Wasteland and keep exploring, and I should have. I could have very easily got another 200 hours out of the game.
Okay.
This one, I said when they first announced it, I was like, I'm not gonna beat it. I was like, I'll avoid the story altogether so that I can just explore because there's so much. But they beat me to that, and what they did is they said that you can go back and keep exploring and leveling up after everything else. So after you beat the story, you can keep going.
So I think that brings us to our next point, which I would assume you're already going to give a point to, so that's silly, but
right.
The movie factor.
Right, and we've explained it before where the movie factor is if I go to a movie and I spend, $8 or $9 or whatever, and I get 2 to 3 hours out of that movie, I expect the same ratio when I'm playing a game.
Right.
So if I get a game that only gives me 6 hours, it's stupid. I lost money on that when I spend $60,
right,
and I only get maybe 8 hours of enjoyment. $30 as compared to a movie, which would be 7.
Right.
And this is so far beyond it. I mean, if this game was $100, I would have been like, take it.
Okay, friend factor. This is probably something that's also not applicable. There's a lot of categories here that, because this is not a multiplayer game.
This is not, and that's interesting. The reason I actually give this a full point is I've been not only texting with people nonstop about this who already got the game, but also the way that the community is kind of bonded together to start discussing like hidden locations, places to find things.
Okay.
Believe it or not,
so there's a social
social equivalent to it where it's very engaging. If like let's say any one of you guys started playing this, you could be like, oh hey, hey Tim, have you been to this place down south? This building, and I'm like, no, I haven't. Why would I? Like, what's going on? And like, oh, it's so difficult. You have to do this, that. But it's 100% a social game. I fully encourage it.
Okay. All right. So you give it a point or half a point?
I give it a full point.
Full point.
Yeah.
Final category. 2 points. 2 points. Overall score, and your overall opinions and your thoughts. 12 hours in.
Okay, I'm in the honeymoon stage, right?
So you're still fucking it.
All right. I mean, we're at it 2-3 times a day.
Right.
Right. It's like it's spontaneous. It's planned. It's whenever I can. This is honestly my game of the year for last year, this year, and quite possibly last year, and the year before, and the one before that. We're gonna go back 7 years to Fallout 3. Okay. Because Fallout 3 is in my top 5, top 10 games. I've been saying this forever. That Fallout 3 is one of my favorite gaming experiences that I've ever had. This is already starting to supplant that for me. The story...
That's a good word, supplant.
Yeah,
I like
it has
that.
me...
Look at you looking all smart.
I don't No, the story has me fully engaged. I love everything about the game so far. I couldn't say enough good things about it. I'm enjoying it that much.
Okay, so 2 points, right?
I'll give it 3.
You're giving it,
I'll give it 3 points.
You can't do it. You can't.
Yeah.
2 points. All right, so let me tally up this final score. If my math is right, I think I know. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.5 is your score for Fallout. Yep. And I gotta say, I think our review system here is pretty dead on with what we would think about a game.